Hi there and welcome to the show. People are able to breathe slightly easier across Victoria, with restrictions being eased and masks no longer required outdoors. However, we are far from out of the danger zone, with the New World Order and vaccine threat looming. Joining us to discuss these topics and more is Teresa van Lieshout, a qualified teacher of over 25 years. So joining me is Teresa van Lieshout. 25 years of experience as a teacher, a wealth of information. Teresa has been providing A-grade footage and interviews covering many events. Thank you very much for joining me. How are you going there today?
Well, thank you, and thanks, Jeff, for interviewing me on the evidence.
Now, through your research and discoveries, would you agree that this whole crisis has been a manufactured event designed to usher in the New World Order and force social crediting?
Definitely an evil satanic agenda globally. Yes, they are implementing the New World Order. There's no doubt about it. The evidence is prolific throughout the world. I'm going to talk about a lot of that evidence today. And also in the New Testament, the Bible has a lot. So we know there are many, many sources, evidence-based sources and literature teaching about this time. The next 10 years is going to be the book of Revelation, enacting a satanic agenda to force vaccinations and eventually force a microchip. So we're living in very difficult and dangerous times, Jeff. Yes, especially if you're a Christian. So.
Certainly, that's exactly right. It's all very biblical, these prophecies. They're all being fulfilled. So please enlighten the viewers on your discoveries that you've come across during your research.
Okay, as I said, I've been doing a lot of research on this. I have presented already a lot of evidence published on in interviews and on Facebook as well. I want to go through 5 main areas of evidence, not pieces of evidence, but 5 main areas of evidence that prove emphatically that that they are committing fraud. The politicians of the world are committing fraud, and they're lying to lock down society and implement the New World Order. So the first area of evidence is to do with the patents, which I have already published a significant amount of research on this. Just quickly, I'll go through each of the 5 areas quickly and then your viewers can do further research as well. In the world patent site, the European and World Patent Site and the United States Patent Site, if you put in the word coronavirus, it comes up with over 13,240 published coronavirus patents from Europe, the United States, and Asia, and particularly China. Now that was that data was put in May of 2020. The very first one they made is called canine coronavirus. There are, as I said, over 13,240. This very first one was filed in 1984 and it was published in 1989. So when we look at this word coronavirus, we look at what the patent system is saying. Over 13,000 patents. Some of the more prevalent, some of the more important patents with the word coronavirus, I've got a pile here. I'm going to quickly go through those. The very first one, as I said, filed 1984 and published 1989. So this is how long they've been using this word coronavirus in the patent documents. A universal coronavirus vaccine patent filed 1990 to 1993 by a pharmaceutical company, SmithKline Beecham. A lot of these patents, most of the patents, 95% of the patents are regarding the pushing of vaccines on every nation. It involves universities, so pharmaceutical companies. So that's a very important one that they filed back in between 1990 and 1993. This is the Pirbright Institute, which has received funding from the Gates Foundation, $11.5 million over the years. They have do a lot of research on vaccines, and the word coronavirus pops up in a lot of their patents. Pirbright, they filed a patent 2015 and published 2016 called virus. That's what it was called. And they also published a patent called vaccine. They published a patent. This is the Pirbright Institute, which is Surrey, the United Kingdom. They published a vaccine in 2015 called Vaccine, and they published it in 2017, and that was related to vaccines for African swine fever, and it's all related to the mitigation of so-called viruses. They also published this is the Pirbright Institute, a patent called Coronavirus. It was published in 2015 of filed July 2015 and published 2017. But the original dates, it says coronavirus, that's what the patent is called. And it says the coronavirus may be used as a vaccine for treating and or preventing a disease such as infectious bronchitis in a subject. So 95 to 99% of these patents with the word coronavirus are all pushing vaccines. They're all related to it.
See, that says it all, doesn't it? That's the smoking gun. Coronavirus patents, right. Exactly. And promoting vaccines, also ordering related equipment beforehand. Yes, and all done in advance. That shows it's very much well orchestrated. And it's not some random virus that's hit. This has all been done. It's premeditated.
The dates in these patents go back to
what else have you come across?
And the very first one they created, 1984, it has dates of details in the 1970s. So when we look at the dates of these patents with the word coronavirus, all pushing vaccines. This one, again, as I said, it was filed. They filed this one twice, 2017, and they filed it again in November 2018. It's exactly the same patent with the same description. This one proves that was filed in 2018. The word coronavirus, that's what it's called. It dates back, the first foreign patent documents related to this patent is October 2004. Now, these patents appear, as I said, in the United States patent site and the European World Patent site, which acts together, those two act together. The US one is a little bit separate, but these documents will all come up in the United States patent site and the World and European patent sites. Keep going through these. This one was filed in 2017. It's called attenuated bronchitis virus, and it's also the Pirbright Institute. It was published January 2019. So they're publishing patents with viruses, to do with viruses and to do with vaccines, and it's always the same thing. Okay, now the next one, patent of great importance, is called, these are examples, bearing in mind there's over 13,000 of these. Okay, yes. So but these are the main ones. Anti-coronavirus vaccine. It was published in August 2004. A previous date down here, foreign application data, August 2001, is filed by the Oblon, Spivak, McClellan, Mayer, and Nadstat, which is an intellectual property firm in the United States, Virginia, which began in 1968. And that patent, called anti-coronavirus vaccine, was published in 2005, originally filed as early as August 2001. This one here is Chiron, which is an American company, filed a patent called Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus. It's actually not called SARS, it's called SARS coronavirus. That's what the patent says. Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus. It was filed by Chiron Corporation, which later became Novartis, in 2006. It was published in 2003, and it was filed in 2003 and published November 2006. So this is how early these pharmaceutical companies have been filing these patents with the word coronavirus on it. This one's very interesting, filed by Chiron, which later became Novartis. SARS coronavirus, filed 2003, published 2006, because the Chinese filed a patent exactly the same. The Chinese filed this same patent that was filed by Chiron, SARS coronavirus, and that was filed in 2003. They filed two, and you wouldn't believe who filed this patent, honestly. I'm telling you right now, it's in black and white, and I've already published these documents on Facebook, and you can do a search, as I said, in the patent site, and it'll come up. It was created by the PLA Academy of Military Medical Sciences in Beijing, China. It's exactly the same as the SARS coronavirus that the United States filed, except the Chinese filed it earlier. They filed it in 2000, June of 2003. It's called new type of coronavirus, this one. They filed two on the same day. The military of China, which is in Beijing, not Wuhan. And the other one they filed on the same day, on the 12th of June 2003, is called novel type coronavirus. You see, novel type coronavirus is filed by the Chinese, and new type coronavirus, a separate patent filed on the same day, and one was published at the beginning of 2004, and the other one was published at the end of 2004. Both filed by the PLA Military Medical Academy of Sciences, Beijing, China, and both related to coronavirus, novel type coronavirus, new type coronavirus. In the description, just briefly, I'll tell you, it says new type of coronavirus. The present invention discloses one new kind of coronavirus, and a little bit later, the virus is obtained through separating sample of SARS and may be used to inoculate sensitive cell to obtain CPE. The virus can produce specific reactions to serum of clinically diagnosed SARS patient, and it's some kind of SARS virus. Now, interestingly, the Chinese virus doesn't even mention the word vaccine. It only mentions the words virus. So they created this virus / vaccine called new type of coronavirus and novel type of coronavirus. And Chiron, the American company, filed exactly the same type of patent, exactly the same type name, severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, 2003, and it was published 2006. So the Americans copied the Chinese. They're all involved. It's the Chinese, Americans, and European people are these patents are coming out of, and probably other Asian nations as well. Now, with another one here is, well, they're the main coronavirus ones which are critical to the evidence. But as I said, there's over 13,000. This one.
It absolutely is critical, and you have to go directly back to the source, and they take ownership describing the symptoms of the virus. They take a claim to this, so that's astounding. You've looked over that, and that really is crucial evidence, and that convicts them, doesn't it, that they've claimed this, and we have it in writing. Encyclopedia published in coronavirus as a common cold, and they've listed it as that. Many misdiagnoses and forced quarantines have come from that. So that's incredible what you've discovered there.
That they're committing fraud, they're lying. They've been creating this for many decades, and these patents are in the public domain. Anybody can get these from the World European Patent Site and United States Patent Site. But I've already published the main ones on Facebook, which you can click on, and they'll bring them all up. Now, that Medical Encyclopedia, Jeff, that you're talking about, you're spot on with that. Here, this is the second area of evidence which I'm pointing to. That's just the first area of evidence. There's 4 more to go from here. Yep. The American Medical Encyclopedia, published 1989. This is circulating on Facebook, but they're farcical face checkers. They keep saying, it's not true, it's not true. So I ordered the book. I got the book. And here's the book here. This is the American Medical Encyclopedia, published 1989. This is an encyclopedia. This is not a journal, a medical journal, or any flimsy paper published by anybody. This is published, a solid encyclopedia, as you can see. Now I'll go directly to, in the index, there's 2 main references to coronavirus. I made up these mass medical exemption badges as well, which I'm providing to the public if anyone wants one. They're going to keep bringing in their draconian masks and forced vax agenda and lockdown agenda. They'll bring it back. They're going to keep doing it. Now, in this encyclopedia, because it's circulating on Facebook and they're trying to say it's not true, they're lying. 1051, which is exactly the same page, is circulating on Facebook, and I've got the book here. 1051, the table, it says exactly the same, coronavirus is common cold. And it's also mentioned in this encyclopedia on page 287. So that's page 1051. And page 287, it's got coronavirus is discussed under common cold. I don't know if your viewers can see that anyway, but you're just going to have to trust me that I'm reading it directly from the encyclopedia. Common cold under the section, a viral infection that causes inflammation of the mucous membranes lining the nose and throat, resulting in a stuffy, runny nose and sometimes a sore throat and headache. Causes. Almost 200 viruses, all broadly similar in their effects, are known to cause colds. The most common belong to one of two groups, the rhinoviruses and coronaviruses. Now, this is published back in 1989. They cannot retrospectively change evidence. They cannot retrospectively change history. They can't say, oh, that doesn't apply. That's garbage. Because when the word they're using in the beginning, at the end of 2019, when the politicians were all promoting this fake virus, you know, saying it's deadly and da-da-da, yep. and they were calling it coronavirus, coronavirus, coronavirus. And they also, if you look at the government websites, they're using the word coronavirus, not just COVID-19. They're using the word coronavirus and they're using the word in their television broadcasting, the money that they're giving, the governments are giving to the Channel 7 and Channel 9, millions of dollars to promote their propaganda. They are using the word coronavirus again. So in the beginning, they used the word coronavirus, and now again in their broadcasting with the money given to the corporate media, their propaganda, they are using the word coronavirus. That word COVID-19 is a slang term for a certificate of vaccination ID.
Exactly.
It's not the evidence. It's a government slang term that the corporate media is using, and the governments, the politicians are using, the lockdown politicians.
Yes, there's many anagrams and abbreviations. They've also done occult numerology, and they've added it all up, and it equals 666 through all the lettering there. So there is many coded imagery surrounding this as well. We've seen predictive programming. They're trying to make out that this is all random, that it's travelling through and it's all happening when this is exactly done by design. It's all created. It's been planned for many, many years, all under this New World Order. And that was the Trojan horse, wasn't it? The pandemic, all designed to usher in the New World Order. So they've covered it to a T, and if people would only do a bit of research and look at the patents, then they'd be able to draw a definite link, couldn't they?
Look, they have to look at the evidence, the primary evidence, which I promote as a teacher and as a researcher, and they're brainwashed by the propaganda promoted by the government, which is your money, millions of dollars, and the corporate media people. What they're doing is criminal, and it's based on fraud, and it's all lockdown. It's all to lockdown society, your freedom and rights, and they have to be jailed. Well, I refer to them as lockdown politicians now. All lockdown politicians in Australia and throughout the world have to be jailed. The corporate media people promoting their dangerous propaganda, they have to be jailed as well. The millions of dollars, and there's a letter created by Google Australia, which I'll go through briefly at the end. The director of Google Australia is warning the Australian people in a letter she published in August of 2020, and a lot of people would have missed that letter, but I printed it off, and I've got that, and I'm going to make a separate video about that.
Absolutely, good on you. And what we're seeing now is people are still wearing masks despite restrictions being eased. They've been mentally programmed, and that shows the effectiveness of the brainwashing. They're not able to go back to how it used to be for them. They're in constant fear and panic, and that makes them easily to be controlled, doesn't it? A lot more easier. That's how they do it. Fear-based mind control. We're seeing it all through the media, hiring key influencers as well to push vaccine propaganda.
The government propaganda is exactly what Hitler did, and Stalin and Pol Pot, and the way Stalin and Hitler particularly used the media is exactly what the politicians, the lockdown politicians of today are doing in Australia and around the world. They are using media exactly the same way as what Hitler did. It's very evil and it's deliberate. It's very deliberate.
And due to forced mask wearing, we're also seeing bacteria forming on the masks, causing impetigo, bacteria being held against the face, and people are being rendered unconscious. So it's disastrous, the effects that are caused by these masks. Very upsetting to see. So, yes, continuing on with the patents and some of the information that you have.
The first area of evidence is the patents worldwide. The second area of evidence is the Medical Encyclopedia, proving that it's little more than the common cold that they're trying to make out to be some dangerous virus, which it isn't. It's erroneous. The third area of research, which evidence is this: the global distribution of COVID-19 test kits. The global distribution of the test kits. Now, this is just as critical as the first two areas, believe me. If this is published by WITS, WITS is the World Integrated Trade Solutions. Okay. Now, this organisation is a global organisation that publishes data. It's created by the World Bank and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the International Trade Centre, and the UN Statistical Division and the World Trade Organization. They developed this database. It's called WITS. It's called the World Integrated Trade Solutions. And they also use the United Nations Statistical Division, which has been reporting data to the United Nations since 1962. Now, anybody can go on this website here, WITS. Now, this is amazing. What they have published is the global distribution, export and import supply of medical test kits. Now, let me read this to you. First of all, from 2017 to 2019, if you go on this website and put in any country, you can find out where they sent and where they got their medical test kits from. You can put the year 2017 in, 2018 in, and 2019 in. And that proves they started distributing these COVID test kits from 2017. Let me read for you. It says, medical test kits, instruments, apparatus used in diagnostic testing. The data here track previously existing medical devices that are now classified by the World Customs Organization as critical to tackling COVID-19. It's incredible that they have published their own data on the global distribution, export and import of test kits throughout the world in every nation, beginning from 2017. So 2017, 2018, 2019. Some of the leading distributors of the COVID test kits from 2017 are, as you probably expect, the United States. Germany had a very high number of distribution of test kits. Some other European nations, the European Union, and China was actually comparatively just in the middle and medium. It wasn't in the highest category, but they have been distributing the test kits. It's got data on Australia, every nation. You can type in the nation, you can type in.
Well, that does it for today's show. There is lots more planned for the rest of the week, so be sure to subscribe, stay tuned for more. Research the patents. You'll be surprised at what you'll find. And I'll catch you on the next episode of the We Are Change talk show, where we expose corruption one episode at a time.